Hello there, you difference makers. I've got my difference maker shirt on here. You are a difference maker because you make a difference in my life. You make me happy. You make me feel proud. You make me feel strong. And you make me know that I can do anything. Okay, so I am excited because we're back to reading our story. Anybody remember what it's called? Let's see. Our main character's name is, you're right, Humphrey. And Humphrey is what kind of animal? Yes, it's a hamster. So Humphrey the hamster is a class pet, and every Friday he gets to go home to somebody else's new house, or somebody else's house. He leaves the classroom, and he goes and he stays over the weekend. Does anybody remember why the class pet needs to go home? The class pet needs to go home because he needs to eat every day. And if he's left alone in the classroom, there's no one there to feed him. So Humphrey goes home and gets to stay with one of his classmates or stay with one of the kids that's in the class where he lives. And he gets to have adventures away from the classroom, which is very exciting. So we read chapter 1. And he met another friend. Does anybody remember the name of the friend? I'm doing it right now. Yes, I am winking, but the character's name is Winky. And Winky is named Winky because when he was born, I guess one of his eyes didn't open all the way, so he got that cute, wonderful name of Winky. So Humphrey, to summarize, Humphrey went to Mandy's house. Mandy got to take him home. Mandy has a brother named Brian and sister and brother named two sister twins named Tammy and Pammy. And she also has this hamster. And so Humphrey got to go and be with Winky at Mandy's house. And the last thing that happened, we learned, is that Winky has a car. And Humphrey really likes that car. He got a chance to ride that car while staying at Mandy's house, which was really exciting. So let's see what happens next. This chapter is called Zoom, Zoom. Oops, forgot. This book is by Betty G. Burney, and the pictures are illustrated by Priscilla Burris. What do we call Betty G. Burney if the book is by her? What does that mean? Yes, she writes the words, and she's also known as the author. Anybody know what letter pair sound is at the beginning of author? It is noisy bird. Ah, ah, ah. So here we go. We are going to read Humphrey's Really, Wheelie Racing Day, chapter 2. Zoom, zoom, zoom around the room. When I got back to room 26 on Monday, I told Og about the car right away. There was a car, and it was blue, and I went zoom, 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 I squeaked. Does anybody remember who Og was? Is Og a fish? Let's see. I think Og was the fish. Let's see here. Og Og is the frog. There's a frog. Yes, Og lives in a little cage next to Humphrey. Okay, here we go. Boing, boing, boing. Og jumped up and down in his tank. I'll tell you the rest later, I said. The bell rang and class began. Before our math lesson, Mrs. Brisbane asked Mandy to tell us about our weekend. We had so much fun, she said. I think Humphrey and Winky were happy to see each other. At least they squeaked a lot, so it seemed like it. All my friends giggled. Stop giggling, Gail. Laugh the loudest. And Humphrey really loved rolling around in Winky's hamster car, she explained. Car, AJ said in his loud voice. He has a car? Mandy nodded. Yes, it looks like a car, but it has a hamster wheel in the middle. Humphrey loved it so as much as Winky does. I never saw a hamster car. Pay attention, Art said. So here's Mandy telling about her weekend. Here's AJ saying he's never heard of a hamster car. And this is Pay Attention, Art. He is saying he's never seen a hamster with a car. And I don't know if I said it wrong, but AJ was questioning a hamster with a car. Me either, Heidi added. Well, Humphrey liked it so much that I brought it with me to school, Mandy said. It's all right to show them, Mrs. Brisbane. Mrs. Brisbane smiled. Of course, Mandy, I'd like to see it too. Mandy reached in her backpack, and there it was, the little blue car. Ooh, my classmate said. Ah, Mrs. Brisbane said. Why don't you show us how it works? Mandy gently took me out of my cage and put me in the racing car. She set the car on the floor, and I began to spin the wheel. Go, Humphrey, go, Richie shouted as I rolled the car between the students' tables. I spun the wheel a little faster. Faster, Humphrey, faster, I heard AJ shout. Boing, boing, boing. Og yelled as he splashed in the water side of his tank. My friends all stood up to watch me, so I spun even faster. I think he's kind of showing off. He likes the attention. He sees that the kids are watching him. And we always like to do things that make other people happy. So I think that's another reason why he's going to go faster. Uh-oh, wait for the bell. Garth's foot was in the aisle. There was no way for me to stop the car, and I didn't have a steering wheel. I leaned to the right, and the car barely missed his foot. I hope he doesn't lose control, Mrs. Brisbane said. It wasn't easy, but I kept the car going without rolling into something. Humphrey, 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 my classmates chatted. So here's the foot that was in the aisle that he almost bumped into. Remember, he's going really fast, and he wants to be responsible. He doesn't want to run into anyone, but he didn't run into anybody, and the children are so excited. All their cheering made me spin even faster. Before I knew it, my car rolled up against the leg of Mrs. Brisbane's desk. The car bounced backwards, went into a spin, and suddenly stopped like that. Mrs. Brisbane had stopped the car with her foot. Humphrey, I think you need a rest, she said. I had to admit, she was right. Mrs. Brisbane put me back into my cage. I can see that Humphrey had a great time at your house, she told Mandy. Yes, Mandy replied. I put Humphrey in his hamster ball and Winky in the car, and they raced each other, she said. But I think Humphrey would like his own car. Then they could have a real race. A hamster race, Garth said. I'd like to see that. Humphrey should have his own car, Golden Miranda said. That's right, AJ said in that loud, loud voice of his. They could race, and I know Humphrey Dumpty would win. I like the funny nickname AJ calls me. Thanks, I squeaked. Boing, boing, Og said. When I looked around, all my classmates were smiling. Winky might win. He knows how to make his car go really fast, too, Mandy said. But the car costs a lot of money. I got Winky's car for my birthday. So there, all the children, they're talking about wanting him to have a car. Let's see. Humphrey is in his cage. He's right there. And here's Og the Frog looking over. And all the kids are so excited because they think that it's such a grand idea to give Humphrey a car, just like Winky. Money. Sometimes I forget about human things like money. My friends weren't smiling anymore. Maybe we can find a way. Let me think about it, Mrs. Brisbane said. Now it's time to start our math lesson. It wasn't easy for me to think about math after all that excitement. When Mrs. Brisbane wrote an 8 on the board, it looked like a racetrack with funny twists and turns. There's number 8. While my hands studied science, Mrs. Brisbane put me in the car and let me roll around room 26. Whenever I got close to a wall, a classmate helped me turn the car around. It was fun. but not as much fun as being in my own car and racing Winky would be. Mandy got her car back at the end of the day. I'm sure Winky will want this, Mrs. Brisbane said. Yes, Mandy said, but I hope Humphrey gets a car too. Yes, 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 I squeaked. Boing, boing, boing. Og took a big leap into the water side of his tank. Mandy giggled. I forgot about Og. I wonder if they have frog cars. Now that would be funny, Mrs. Brisbane said with a smile. Later that evening, Og and I were alone. I opened the lock that doesn't lock on my cage and walked over to Og's tank. Do you want to be in a race? I asked. Boing. Og didn't sound very sure. Well, I do, I said. And if there's a car for hamsters, there should be a car for frogs too. Boing, boing. Og seemed more interested. I tried to picture Og driving a car with his big webbed feet. I didn't see how he could spin the wheel to make it go. Don't be upset, I told him. I don't have a car either. Og and I were quiet for the rest of the evening. At least I could pretend to have a really wheelie car, even if it wasn't the same at all. So there he is. Humphrey got out of his cage. He said it doesn't lock, but nobody knows that. And he's not going to do anything naughty. He just went over to talk to his friend Og. And now he's got a visualization in his brain. And that is visualizing his friend Og in a car. That's pretty silly, huh? I wonder if there could ever be such a thing as a frog car. Although I'm not sure frogs would know how to move their legs to do that. Now, we've had another wonderful adventure going on in our story. Humphrey, it's a really racing day. Super fun. He's had a lot of fun in his red car. Let's talk a little bit about the story, parts of the story. So far, we know that one of the main characters' name is Humphrey. Does anybody remember the name of another main character? Yes, the other main character's name, or one of the main characters, was Winky. And Winky was, can you tell me who Winky was? Winky was a hamster friend that lives with Mandy. So, and then there's the character Og, the frog, that also lives in the classroom. And you know what I noticed at the end of the story here is that Humphrey was so caring and wanted to tell Og that he hoped that maybe he could get a car too. It's always nice to want your friends to have something that you want. It's kind of like when you go to buy a birthday present and your parents or your grown-up might say something to you like, pick something out that you would want to have because you're shopping for your friends. So you should always purchase something that you would want to get too, because that means it's a really good gift. All right. So we will continue tomorrow with our story and Humphrey's really racing day, chapter 3. Before we go, I'd like to give you a roller coaster chair for being great listeners, identifying the characters in this story and the setting of the story. Oops, I think I said that, but we didn't actually do the setting of the story. The setting of the story is, do you remember where the setting is? We have more than one setting. So one of the settings is, that's right, in room 26, which is the classroom. Another one of the settings was at Mandy's house. Can you think of a third setting? I bet you can. It's someplace Humphrey really likes to go, and Winky too. You're right, into the hamster car, the one that has the wheel that they spin their feet and the hamsters turn the wheel and it makes the car move. Pretty cool. All right, it's time to go. Before we go, I'm going to do that roller coaster cheer that I said I was going to do for you. I'm going to give you a double cheer. That means I'm going to have 2 cars, and they're both going to go up the ramp. So here we go. That was fun. I hope it wasn't scary for you. You didn't go upside down. You just went super fast. All right. Let's remember to thank ourselves for all that we are and remind ourselves all the wonderful things that we are. And we can say it together today. So, I am smart. I am kind. I am honest. I am silly. I am brave. I am loved. And yes, my friends, you are so very loved. Here's my virtual hug. And it makes me feel all warm and toasty on the inside and happy in my brain. I hope you have a great day and a great evening. And remember to be the best that you can be at all times. Everything is about you trying your best. Even if you can't do it that great, as long as you tried your best, that's the important part. Okay, take care. I'll see you soon. And I can't wait to find out more about Humphrey. Good job.